Okay, what's up everybody? We are continuing the box awards. This is going to be part 3, and that means this week we are actually touching on the subject for EPs of the year in the metal scene for the year 2024. So yeah, let's just jump right in. This is the best EPs of the year for 2024. Okay, at number 5, we have a band that is not really all that well known, and I feel like they should be. Only like, I want to say maybe a quarter of the metal industry, really listens to these guys, and I feel like these guys deserve more attention as a band. So yeah, we have the band called Greyhaven, and this EP was called Stereo Grief. So yeah, I had to give this the number 5 spot because, it's just an overall good blend of hardcore, melodic metalcore music, mixed in together also, fluently and everything. They put their own unique twist on it, especially with the vocalist's unique voice. He's got like such a standoutish voice in the metal scene. You can almost like, if he's got like a feature, you can almost like hear that it's him, like without even knowing. Like, this is again one reason why I wish these guys would get more recognition. It's sad that they don't, but I have to say on this EP in particular, the singles that were released for this EP, Past Material and The Welcome Party, are definitely the most standoutish songs of this EP. Definitely gave me huge Alexis on Fire vibes, but like a more modern, more riffy version of Alexis on Fire. I know not everyone's gonna get that, but once you listen to it, you can hear the similarities in some aspects. I know that's not what they go for, but you can definitely hear some similarities in it. They're definitely not identical by any sort of the means, but if you give this band a listen, definitely keep in mind Alexis on Fire, and you'll definitely hear those similarities for sure. But yeah, I had to give them the number 5 spot. These guys definitely did a solid job on this EP. I've been a fan of these guys since their debut, and I've been loving every single moment that these guys put out. It only made number 5 though, because this isn't my most played EP of the year so far. It's like I said, it's still a very good EP, but it never really piqued my highest interest, if you will. So yeah, that's why I gave it number 5. But yeah, let's move on to number 4. All right, number 4, I have to thank Nick Nocturnal for. This one is the band Mirar with the EP called Mare. Okay, so like I said, yeah, we have to thank Nick Nocturnal for this because he really put these guys on the map. I mean, the fact that when he did it, like, I listened to this EP, I want to say about 7 or 8 times in a row throughout the vast course of like maybe a week, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. Like, a lot of the beautifulness and the hauntiness and just the overall intensity of some of these tracks, it's just so unbelievable. One of the best breakthrough bands, I want to say, of the year as well. I mean, granted, like I said, Nick pretty much put these guys on the map. I mean, Nick has been doing a lot for the metal scene in terms of like getting a lot of bands recognition and stuff like that, and I feel like he definitely increased their fan base a lot, especially with how heavy and bonkers this EP is. I have even in my notes here, it just says the most intense, heavy, melodic instrumental masterpiece of 2024. It's hauntingly beautiful. It's got all the what the fuck moments you want. Out of the EP track list, Rachma or Rachma, however you want to pronounce it, or Kashmar, those are the songs I frequently listen to the most. I feel like Kashmar is because of Nick Nocturnal in particular, because he did the YouTube video on that song, and you know, I've been listening to that one the most. But the track number 1, Rachma, was another really good sick single as well. So yeah, again, thank you Nick Nocturnal for giving us, giving them actually more recognition, and putting these guys more on the map for people to listen to, because yeah, I really enjoy the musicianship and everything that Mirar has, and I know that Nick as well recently came out with a collab with Mirar as well, which premiered at the end of the Nick Nocturnal Awards, which was really sick. It was like a whole like death funk kind of twist on the Mirar sound, which was really sick. But yeah, had to give that number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Okay, number 3. We are talking about one of the best collab EPs the deathcore has ever seen. And of course, I'm talking about Disembodied Tyrant and SYNESTIA with the Poetic Edda. Okay, so this band's breakout into the music industry, or even the deathcore scene as a whole, is just nothing short of impressive. I mean, they have massive talent, and I know this isn't the first piece of music that they've released or anything, but they've, really come to shine with this collab EP with the help of SYNESTIA as well. I never really heard of either band before, and seeing them both come together and create this like symphonic deathcore mix was just insane and beautiful at the same time. The EP has a bunch of insane breakdowns. The EP as a whole is just pure gold. Honestly, like I said, it's my introduction to both bands. Now on the SYNESTIA side, I haven't really dived into SYNESTIA because I was more interested in Disembodied Tyrant. But yeah, this whole EP was, like I said, nothing short of impressive. It was so sick. Delivered on heaviness, delivered on the hauntingness, the beautifulness of it. It was really sick. And also have to talk about the art style, the videos, just the way they did their like videos as like almost like drone shots and stuff like that, very beautiful sceneries and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you have this like huge sound of deathcore just blasting your ears. It was really sick and beautiful at the same time. So yeah, it definitely one of my most played EPs too, I have to mention. It was really sick, so I had to give this to number 3. But yeah, that was number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, number 2 is actually an EP that recently released, and that is from a band that we haven't heard of in a couple years. So we are talking about Counterparts, Brendan fucking Murphy. Yeah, we're going to give it to Heaven Let Them Die from Counterparts as number 2. So yeah, like I said, Brendan fucking Murphy just fucking absolutely delivers. I absolutely love the fact that he brings in the elements of his other band that he started called End. He brought in the elements of vocally and melodically and everything like that. He brought in a whole bunch of elements of End into it. Even instrumentally, you hear some nuances here and there as well. So yeah, I definitely like what everyone else is saying. This is definitely their heaviest EP by far. It's their heaviest material just because of the influence from End and all that, right? I love how they brought in the elements of End and kept it still like with their Counterparts original like signature sound that they have. They kept it all like intact. But yeah, as one of the last releases of the year, it was definitely a surprise to a lot of us because we didn't even know that Brendan and the guys were even in the studio cooking up some shit. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that, and they just gave us a surprise drop, and it turned out to be one of the most sick, brutal EPs I've heard this year. Now, I have to say, this and my number one was super close. I literally deliberated for days on what should be my number one and number two spots. And, you know, I had to give this number two because if I would say, like, if this had more time to cook, you know, like say if this dropped like midsummer or something like that and it had a lot more time to cook, I feel like this EP would have grown on me a lot more than it already has. But therefore, I have to give it number two just because the late release. But yeah, it's just another EP this year that has absolutely zero skips on it and is pure gold. But yeah, let's move on to some honorable mentions before we get to number one. So yeah, these are the honorable mentions. Okay, so the first one up, we are actually going to bring it back to the list a little bit. At the number 3 spot was Disembodied Tyrant, and we're going to talk about Disembodied Tyrant and their solo EP, The Tower Part 1. So, yeah, this was interesting because, like I said, I've only just heard of Disembodied Tyrant like a lot of other people did. You know, they really came out with their own sound and everything with that collab EP. And then now they're going solo this time around with The Tower Part 1. And it was really cool to see that like they didn't really stop at just the one EP and wait till like 2025 to release something. No, they only waited about 4 months to drop this EP because the collab EP was in May and Disembodied Tyrant's The Tower Part 1 dropped in September, both in the early part of the months too. So literally just about 4 months away from each other. And yeah, it was very quick, but they still pumped out some solid work out of it. You know, this EP really proves that they can stand out on their own without SYNESTIA, you know, especially for the newcomers like me and everything, you know, not really used to their sound and everything. Really goes to show that they can shine without the help of others, you know, all that stuff, right? Even though it's a fairly short EP, I'm pretty sure this is going to be, because it is part 1, there's probably going to be a part 2, part 3, whatever, leading up to maybe an album or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how the formula is working on this one, but yeah, I really dug it. It was another gold standard EP in my eyes. All 3 tracks on the EP are fucking insane. So yeah, I just had to give that an honorable mention. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. We are going to be talking about Northlane with the EP called Mirror's Edge. So I'm giving this an honorable mention because I feel like this is honestly one of the most overlooked EPs that have been released by a well-known band. I mean, like, I feel, unfortunately, that like a lot of the metal scene completely forgot that this EP even dropped. You know, there was a lot of hype around it when it was coming out, and then it dropped, and then like a month later, it was just crickets about this EP. I heard nothing. You know, I didn't see anyone going back to it or anything, which is kind of sad. But I honestly love this EP. It was very, very good. The only qualm I have with it is like, it's not their best release. I feel like, honestly, since Alien came out, like, it's really hard to top that album. And, you know, production on this EP did have its, like, falling short moments for me, where like there are some production choices that I wish they could have done differently and stuff like that. But I have to say the song After Image was a complete banger for me. Not only because was it a cool aspect of a song, but it was really, really exciting for me as a alternative metal fan as well, because it actually features one of my favorite vocalists of all time, Ian Kenny from Carnival. Carnival's like here in my heart as like top 5 alt metal bands. Like, I absolutely love Carnival, and the fact that Ian Kenny featured on like a metalcore style track, that was really, really cool, and it was a really standout track. Dante was also a standout track as well. Dante being more of the melodic side, no real screams or anything like that. It was more of like just like the industrial kind of metal sound, you know, that they've been like implementing ever since Alien came out, you know. So again, really good, great EP, but like I said, not their best work. So it did kind of fall short off my list a little bit, but I did like the EP overall. I just feel like we need to talk about this EP a little bit more, get the conversation going again, because I honestly feel like a lot of moments from this EP really stood out. But yeah, that was that one, and yeah, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the last honorable mention I have is actually one that literally just dropped not too long ago, like not even 2 weeks ago or less. Actually no, I think it was actually last week. But yeah, this EP dropped literally last week, and this is by the band Victims. That's VCTMS, and their EP called Pain Processing. Okay, so yeah, I have to talk about this band because, again, it's another band that deserves a lot more recognition in the metalcore scene, and I feel like these guys have gone way too long under the radar, and this EP literally just proves how good they are. You know, very super underrated band, like I said, but the EP has non-stop energy the whole way through. They put in some melodicness in the chorus and stuff like that. Here and there on every, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 songs that they added like an actual chorus on, but otherwise it was like just straight up full punch energy, you know. Like I said, though, they need more love. I hope that maybe whoever sees this video, you know, gives this band a chance if they've never listened to them. But yeah, I definitely love this. Last EP of the year, and it pulled no punches. Very solid production overall. Definitely will go down as one of their best releases as well in my eyes. So yeah, had to give one last honorable mention to the very last EP release of the year for Victims. But yeah, let's move on to number 1 finally. Okay, so number 1 on my EP of the year list might surprise a lot of you watching, but I have to give it to the band Gore and the EP A Bud That Never Blooms. Okay, so this is a brand new band that started this year releasing a couple singles here and there. Then they announced the EP. And then I think they released like the last 3 singles after that, after the announcement. But yeah, one hell of a debut. You know, as for a band that kind of takes, you know, sounds from other bands and makes it their own, you know, like, so one recommendation, or for fans of, if you will, for this band, would say like the best bands to kind of put them in the same realm with, Spirit Box, Bad Omens, and Sleep Token. I know that's very like in the metal scene, very overused and stuff like that. Like a lot of bands sound like a lot of those other bands and stuff like that, right? But you know, Gore takes it to like this whole other beautiful level. I mean, like they're on par to be on the same level as bands like Sleep Token and stuff like that, because like honestly they make the sound their own, along with the lyric topics and everything that they go through every single song. You know, I even have here on my notes, you know, like vocals are the main standout, you know, for this. I mean, Haley just provides, you know, such high pitch, you know, beautiful tones that, you know, at some moments remind me of Mariah Carey. You know, I've even on one of my reactions to these guys, I even called them you know, like Mariah Carey gone metal, right? Because the high notes that she can just achieve is just incredible, you know. Like I said, they take the Bad Omen, Sleep Token, Spirit Box sound and excel at making it their own, you know, which is very hard to do, to stand out from the rest of the bands that do that as well. You know, another band that does it very well is Breakaway. If you know them, you probably know Metal Bird, because they put Metal Bird put them on the map pretty much, right? But yeah, I really love this EP. I can't wait for the future of this band, because like honestly, musically, lyrically, instrumentally, all that stuff, like everything put together, it was just a solid package. My most played EP overall, you know, on Spotify. Like I go back to this EP at least once a week, at least. So yeah, I really love this EP. One other thing I have to touch on too is like the lyrics on it. I was, you know, a little bit kind of, I wouldn't say scared, but like a little bit cautious to dive into these guys because of the lyric topics. You know, sometimes lyrics, when they come across as kind of Christian or Christian sounding, sometimes, you know, the band or band members can be, I know it's kind of like prejudice and, you know, stuff like that, but I mean, like when it comes to like a lot of Christian bands and stuff like that, they never really seem to let the whole Christian ideology go and everything, right? So I'm actually glad to see that someone commented on their Instagram page on one of their posts asking if these guys are a Christian band because their lyrics have to deal with Christian ideologies. And I believe it was their guitarist that said no, they're not a Christian band, but they do take it as a topic for just a topic for the EP. So they're not considered a Christian band, but they did have this EP dive into some Christian ideologies, which is a very cool thing. You never really see that from a non-Christian band to talk about Christian ideologies and the religion and all that stuff, right? There's very little bands that do that or even pull that off to the level that Gore does. So yeah, honestly, after all that was cleared up for me, it literally just sold and solidified the choice for me. That, like, honestly, because I have zero qualms about this EP, one of the most perfect EPs I've heard in years. It was honestly like it had to go number one. I was fighting between Counterparts and Gore from the number one spot, but honestly I had to give it to Gore just because of that. But yeah, let me know what you all thought. That's gonna wrap everything up for the EPs of the year. Let me know your list down below, or if you don't have a list of your own, what would you do to change mine? What order would you put mine in? You know, stuff like that, just to curate some sort of list and discussion down below. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up this week. I will see you all next week again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and hit that like button if you did enjoy this video. But yeah, that's about it. I've been Shinebox. Keep shining, everyone, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.